तो चलिए दोस्तों अपनी हिस्ट्री ऑफ लिटरेचर की सीरीज को आगे बढ़ाते हैं और आज हम पढ़ेंगे एज ऑफ शेक्सपियर का जो ड्रामा था ना उस वाले पार्ट को। इसके अंदर हम कवर करेंगे प्री शेक्सपियरियन ड्रामा, यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स, उसके जो राइटर्स थे उनके बारे में और उनके इम्पोर्टेंट वर्क्स के बारे में जानेंगे। थिएटर और स्टेज का पढ़ेंगे हम। शेक्सपियर की लाइफ से रिलेटेड जो चीजें हैं ना जो इम्पोर्टेंट हैं वो सब जानेंगे, उनके वर्क्स जानेंगे, क्रोनोलॉजिकली जानेंगे और उनको। और उसके बाद शेक्सपियर की डेथ और उसके बाद के जो ड्रामेटिस्ट थे ना जिनके इम्पोर्टेंट वर्क्स थे जो नेट के रिगार्डिंग इम्पोर्टेंट है वो सब कवर करेंगे हम लोग। सो नाउ विल स्टार्ट विद प्री शेक्सपियरियन ड्रामा। देयर वाज लिटिल कोहेसिव डेवलपमेंट इन प्री शेक्सपियरियन ड्रामा. The period that followed the production of Gorboduc was a period of great confusion in English drama. On the other hand, the Senecan or the classical pattern of which Sackville and Norton's tragedy had been an example was favored by those who believed that a really artistic drama could be created through the faithful imitation of the ancient model. Drama was basically divided into two main types, the Senecan or also called classical drama and the other is native drama. इनके बारे में हम अब आगे पढ़ेंगे, डिटेल में थोड़ा समझेंगे इनको. The first is Senecan drama, also called as classical drama. It was favored by those who believed in really artistic drama. इसके बेसिकली तीन मेन कैरेक्टर्स थे जो हैं it prescribed the unity of subject and tune. Second is there were three units of time, place and action and these should govern the construction of a play. And there must be little or no dramatic action. On the other hand, there was native drama, upon which the classical form had little influence, and because of that, it was just struggling to establish itself. The native drama, which had the support of the popular taste, was romantic in character and did not adhere to the aforesaid classical conventions. It first makes free use of variety in tone and theme and allows the blending of tragic and comic incidents. Secondly, it repudiates the three units of time, place, and action, and it is essentially a drama of action. Nearly everything that happens is represented on the stage. The native form became very popular. Moody and Levitt remarks it as it had on its side not only the long tradition but the overwhelming weight of popular taste. The native drama taught the beauty of artistic necessity of good structure. In short, it brought from out of chaos. Marlowe, who was endowed with an intensely romantic genius, shows abundant traces of classical influence. The chorus of Shakespeare's King Henry V, Romeo and Juliet Pericles is a slender remnant of the Senecan chorus. Ben Jonson although favored classicism. Now let's study about the theatre and stage in the Shakespearean age. The development of drama during the age of Shakespeare was greatly influenced by the establishment of private and the public theatres. Towards the end of the 16th century, dramatic activity was in full swing. The number of audience day by day increased. Hence, the idea of establishing permanent theatres took shape. The first playhouse in London was erected in the year 1576 in Shoreditch, out of the reach of civic authorities. During the next 30 years, at least, 7 regular theatres and dozens of more inn-yards permanently fitted for performances were established in the city of London and its immediate suburbs. The theatre, the Rose, the Globe, the Swan, the Fortune were built in Shoreditch area or on the bank side. However, the Blackfriars was the only theatre within the city. Theatre were of two kinds. First one, the private theatres, which were roofed in, lit by artificial lights. These were attended by a better class audience. Their examples were Blackfriars, Salisbury Court, and Drury Lane. These were famous private theatres. Secondly, there were public theatres. These were open to the sky and performances took place in a broad daylight. क्यों? क्योंकि आर्टिफिशियल लाइट्स की अरेंजमेंट नहीं थी ना उनके पास. अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. All classes of contemporary society intermingled in yard or galleries. The main stage was usually open, with a curtain at the back and two or more doors through which the actors entered and left. The groundlings surrounded the whole platform, but gallants able to pay for the privileges set on the stage itself. Two important consequences resulted from this. First one is no scenery could be introduced on the main stage. Primitive scenic effects were created with the help of movable properties. For example, a tree in a tub might symbolize a whole forest. The absence of scenery necessitated the introduction of a large amount of explanatory reference. The audience had to be told it was dark, a hole for a garden. As the audience surrounded the stage and the actors, there was a close intimacy between the two. This resulted in the introduction of a device of soliloquy and aside. Audience believed in the superstition and were fond of thrilling actions. So, most of the Elizabethan plays abound in superstitions, blood-curdling scenes of murder and bloodshed, revenge were highly appreciated. In these plays, female parts were taken by boy actors who evidently were more distressing than the crude scenery. तो मेरे प्यारे भक्तजनों, अब हम पढ़ेंगे यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स के बारे में। उसे पढ़ने से पहले आप थोड़ा सा जानिए कि यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स था क्या। ये बेसिकली एक ग्रुप था कुछ राइटर्स का, नेमली थॉमस किल्ड, नैश, लिली, पीले, ग्रीन एंड मार्लो। जो यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स है ना, इसने completely रिवॉल्यूशनाइज कर दिया था इंग्लिश ड्रामा को and made it a suitable medium for the expression of the genius and temperament of their age. They brought the English drama to a point where Shakespeare began to experiment upon it. अब आपको पता चला कि शेक्सपियर ने जो अलग अलग थीम्स लिखी हैं ड्रामा की, वो कहाँ से उसको इंस्पिरेशन मिली थी, किस वजह से उसने इतना एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था। तो अब हम पढ़ेंगे यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स के बारे में और इनका जो रिमार्केबल डेवलपमेंट है ब्रिटिश ड्रामा का, वो कैसे हुआ, किस किस ने कहाँ कहाँ पे इम्प्रूवमेंट की ड्रामा में, वो सब देखेंगे हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में। Now we'll start studying university wits. Commenting on the contribution of the university wits to the British drama, Nicole writes, the classicists had form but no fire. The popular dramatists had interest but little sense of form. Drama, that is to say, was struggling between a well-formed chill and a structureless enthusiasm. The great merit of the university wits was that they came with their passion and poetry and their academical training to unite these two forces and thus to give Shakespeare a pliable and fitting medium for the expression of his जीनियस। मैंने आपको इससे पहले 6 नाम बताए थे जिनका यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स में बहुत हैवी कंट्रीब्यूशन था, जो कि थे थॉमस किल्ड, थॉमस नैश, जॉन लिली, जॉर्ज पीले, रॉबर्ट ग्रीन और क्रिस्टोफर मार्लो। इसके अलावा हमारे पास एक सेवंथ नेम भी आता है जो कि है थॉमस लॉज का। इन्हें हम ऐसे इंटीग्रल पार्ट नहीं मानते क्योंकि इनका कोई खास कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं रहा है थिएटर के लिए। दोस्तों, द गुड थिंग इज आप अब हमें इंस्टाग्राम पे भी फॉलो कर सकते हैं, वहाँ पे मैं डेली वोकेबलरी सिखा रहा हूँ। और अब मैंने लिटरेचर की नई सीरीज भी स्टार्ट किया वहाँ पे, जहाँ पे मैं बड़े ही कंसंट्रेटेड फॉर्म में ना चीजें बताता हूँ। एक टॉपिक लिया, जैसे मैंने शेक्सपियर का टॉपिक उठाया, उसके ऊपर जो कंसंट्रेटेड से कंसंट्रेटेड फॉर्म है ना, उसमें सब कुछ बताया है नेट के रिगार्डिंग क्या क्या पढ़ना है और कितना पढ़ना। तो जरूर फॉलो करिएगा और पढ़िएगा। अब हम यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स के जो हमारे राइटर्स हैं ना, उनके इम्पोर्टेंट वर्क्स पढ़ेंगे और उनके बारे में कुछ बातें जानेंगे। पहला नाम हमारे पास आता है जॉन लिली का। इन्हें लीडर ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स भी कहा जाता है। इनके कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट वर्क्स हैं अ मोस्ट एक्सीलेंट कॉमेडी ऑफ अलेक्जेंडर एंड कंपास एंड डायोगनीज, जो 1584 में पब्लिश हुआ था, सेफो एंड फेयो 1584 में, गलाथिया 1588 में, द मैन ऑफ द मून 1588 में ही, मिडास 1589 में, मदर बॉम्बी 1590, लव्स मेटामॉर्फोसिस 1590 एंड द वुमन इन द मून 1597 में पब्लिश हुआ था। नाउ लेट्स स्टडी व्हाट डिड लिली कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू ड्रामा। As we all know, he is called the leader of the university wits. He was essentially a court dramatist. He added to drama the qualities of delicacy, grace, charm, and subtlety. Lilly mostly wrote for private theatres. He was the first one to give shape to romantic comedy. He found contemporary comedy lacking in form and atmosphere. Romantic fancy with him is more idealistic than with Green and Peele. We can find a mellowed spirit under which seriousness and laughter meet in Lilly's comedy. He did not completely rejected the classical pattern. Terence taught him the technique which is displayed in his plays. The Greek myths, with which few Renaissance artists were acquainted, led him into a strange realm. The classical age is seen through the eyes of romance. There are delicate colorings, a certain mellowed sadness, a linking of the earth with the spirit world. Here are realism, classicism, and romanticism welded into one. In Lilly's comedies, for the first time, we find a suitable blank verse for comedy. Marlowe's rich, imaginative, and highly poetical blank verse was incapable of experiencing lighter sentiment. Lilly's verse, delicate if artificial, could convey excellently the quickness of his thought and the humorous images constantly flitting through his brain. High comedy also demands a nice sense of phrase, and Lilly is the first great phrase maker in English. He knew the use of skilled phrases for purposes of character delineation and plot construction. He gave to English comedy a witty phraseology. He definitely established prose as an expression of comedy and used prose to express light feelings of fun and laughter. Some of his plays showed Terence's influence as he shakes himself free from the presentation of merely imitative humors. Each of his characters is endowed with individuality. The device of the girl dressed as a boy is traced back to Lily. Introduction of songs symbolical of the mood of a particular comedy owes its popularity to him only. Next is जॉर्ज पीले. इनका जन्म हुआ था 1557 में और 1596 में ये एक्सपायर हो गए थे. इनके इम्पोर्टेंट वर्क्स हैं द अरेंजमेंट ऑफ पेरिस 1581, द बैटल ऑफ अल्काजार 1594, द फेमस क्रॉनिकल्स ऑफ किंग एडवर्ड द वन, लव ऑफ किंग डेविड, फेयर पैट्से, द ऑल वाइव्स टेल. और ये एंड के जो चार हैं ये सभी 1595 में पब्लिश किए थे. अब हम इनका कंट्रीब्यूशन देखते हैं ड्रामा के लिए. पीले widened the range of English drama by writing in different forms such as romantic tragedy, chronicle history, mystery plays, romantic literary satires, etc. In all of these, we can notice a high level of poetic attainment. As a humorist, he showed the way to Shakespeare. He was able to create an atmosphere where he united reality and romance. In the romantic fantasy, Peele successfully introduced an amount of literary satire. The Allwise Tale is the first dramatic literary satire, in which he did not create laughter by comic presentation or clownery, but by dramatic irony in the contrast of romantic plot and reality diction. Next is Robert Greene. इनका जन्म हुआ था 1558 में और 92 में ये एक्सपायर हो गए थे. He contributed much in the development of romantic comedy. इनके important works देखिए. The Comical History of Alphonsus, King of Aragon 1587 में पब्लिश हुआ था. The Honorable History of Friar Bacon and Friar Bungay जो कि 1589 में पब्लिश हुआ था. And the Scottish History of James the Fourth जो कि 1591 में पब्लिश किया गया था. ड्रामा के लिए अब हम ग्रीन का कंट्रीब्यूशन देखते हैं. Robert Greene paid great attention to plot. He was a master of the art of plot construction. With him, love story becomes central in the art of drama. His plot is based on theme of love. He supplied what Lily lacked: complicated story and simple human feelings. His Friar Bacon and Friar Bungay proves this point. Robert Greene deftly interwove diverse moods and surroundings in Friar Bacon, Friar Bungay, and James the Fourth. These are his best romantic comedies. We have three distinct worlds mingled together, which are the world of magic, the world of aristocratic life, and the world of the country. In this way, he guided Shakespeare in the writing of A Midsummer Night's Dream. सो नाउ दिस इज एन इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट, क्योंकि कई बार नेट में ऐसे क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं कि एक राइटर ने ये वर्क किससे इंस्पायर या इन्फ्लुएंस होकर लिखा। तो ये आप जरूर याद रखना दोस्त, इसको आप नोट करके अपने दीवार पे चिपका लेना और आते जाते पढ़ोगे नॉर्मली याद हो जाएंगी ये सब चीजें। हिज कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द पोर्ट्रेयल ऑफ वुमेन कैरेक्टर्स इज नोटिसेबल। His Rosalind and Celia's, Margaret and Dorothea are excellent portraits of women. Next is Thomas Nash. इनका जन्म हुआ था 1558 में और 1625 में ये एक्सपायर हो गए थे। इनके दो बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट वर्क्स हैं, डीडो और द आइल ऑफ डॉग्स। द आइल ऑफ डॉग्स 1597 में पब्लिश हुआ था और डीडो का पब्लिशिंग ईयर कंफर्म नहीं है कहीं पर भी। ये दोनों ही वर्क्स हैं वो कोलैबोरेशन में बनाए गए थे मार्स्टन के साथ। थॉमस नेश वाज अ पैम्पलेटियर एंड स्टोरी राइटर। ही ऑल्सो ट्राइड हिज हैंड एट ड्रामा। नेक्स्ट इज थॉमस किड। इनका एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट वर्क है द स्पेनिश ट्रेजेडी, जो कि 1585 में पब्लिश हुआ था। हिज प्लेज ऑक्यूपाइज अ स्पेशल प्लेस इन डेवलपमेंट ऑफ इंग्लिश ट्रेजेडी। इट इज scenical play adopted to popular requirement. Kid made it thrillingly effective. He breathed into it the passion of fine blank verse. His work, The Spanish Tragedy, is a well-constructed play. He had skillfully woven passion, pathos, and fear until climax. This play is full of strong external actions. Kid succeeded in producing forceful and capable dialogue. He brought revenge theme to the stage, thus influenced Shakespeare's The Duchess of Malfi. ये दूसरा एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, इसको नोट कर लेना गाइस। The device of play within play which Shakespeare used in Hamlet was used for the first time in The Spanish Tragedy, जो कि लिखा था थॉमस किड ने। ये दोनों ही पॉइंट बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट होने वाले हैं नेट के लिए, इनको याद कर लेना अच्छे से दोस्तों। थॉमस किड प्रोवाइडेड अ न्यू टाइप ऑफ ट्रेजिक हीरो टू द स्टेज, और यही जो ट्रेजिक हीरो है इसको बहुत एक्सेप्शनली यूज किया था विलियम शेक्सपियर ने, जो हम अपनी नेक्स्ट वीडियो में पढ़ेंगे। तो नेक्स्ट वीडियो को जरूर देखना गाइस, वो इस सीरीज में वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट वीडियो होने वाली है जो कि आप लोगों की नेट की तैयारी में काफी हेल्प करेगी। द नेक्स्ट इज क्रिस्टोफर मार्लो। इनका जन्म हुआ था 1564 में और 1593 में ये एक्सपायर हो गए थे। इनके इम्पोर्टेंट वर्क्स देखिए आप, टैम्बरलेन 1587 से 1588 के बीच में लिखा और पब्लिश हुआ, डॉक्टर फॉस्टस 1587, एडवर्ड टू 1593, द ज्यूज ऑफ माल्टा 1592, द ट्रेजेडी ऑफ डीडो द क्वीन ऑफ कार्थेज 1594 में पब्लिश हुआ, एंड द मैसेकर ऑफ पेरिस जो कि 1596 में पब्लिश हुआ। ड्रामा में मार्लो का कंट्रीब्यूशन जानने से पहले हम मार्लो की लाइफ के बारे में थोड़ा सा कुछ जान लेते हैं। इनके पिताजी एक कैंटरबरी में शू मेकर थे। इनकी पढ़ाई हुई थी किंग्स स्कूल में एंड कॉर्पस क्रिस्टी कॉलेज, कैम्ब्रिज से ये ग्रेजुएट हुए 1584 में। 1587 में मार्लो ने अपनी मास्टर्स की डिग्री ली। इनका फर्स्ट प्ले टेम्बरलेन 1587 ये 1588 में पब्लिश हुआ। 1593 में मार्लो के कुछ बुरे दिन स्टार्ट हो गए। इनके ऊपर एथिज्म का एक्यूजेशन लगा क्योंकि इन्होंने ओल्ड और न्यू टेस्टामेंट दोनों को ही बड़ा क्रिटिसाइज किया था। ही डिनाउंस्ड द जनरल कंसेप्शन ऑफ रिलीजन। इनका कहना था कि the first beginning of the religion was to keep men in awe. Kocher calls him the higher of all the ages of protest against Christianity and a voice for the inarticulate and nameless of his own day. His atheism is expressed in all of his plays. Marlowe, the versatile dramatist, was killed on 30th May 1593. He was the typical representative of the Renaissance. He was called a wild genius. John Beckles recognized him as the most reckless spirit in all the turbulent age. Now let's see what did Christopher Marlowe contributed to the drama. First of all, not a thing which is important that he is the most shining star among the university wits. अब इनका हम कंट्रीब्यूशन देखते हैं कि इन्होंने ड्रामा में क्या क्या दिया। फर्स्ट इज हीरोइक थीम। ये किसने इंट्रोड्यूस किया? क्रिस्टोफर मार्लो ने। ही रेज्ड द सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ ड्रामा टू हायर लेवल। हिज मेन थीम्स आर insatiable spirit of adventure, master passions of love and beauty, greatness and littleness of ह्यूमन लाइफ। इनका जो वर्क है ना टेम्बरलेन, उसमें जो करेक्टर है जिसका नाम टेम्बरलेन है वो एक वर्ल्ड कॉन्करर है। फॉस्टर्स जो इनका करेक्टर है वो परस्यूट ऑफ यूनिवर्सल नॉलेज में रहता है हमेशा। बारबस है, उसके पास fabulous ड्रीम्स हैं वेल्थ के। एडवर्ड टू with his mingling of nobility and worthlessness sounds the heights and depths of human nature. Now the dignity of the hero. Marlowe is the first to impart dignity and individuality to the tragic hero. In the emphasis on the individuality of the hero, he was influenced by Macquill's print. Marlowe deviates radically from the medieval conception of tragedy. During the Middle Ages, tragedy was a thing of princes and princesses. For Marlowe, it was a thing of individual heroes. The medieval tragedy was didactic. Drama had to show the downfall of the hero into misery or adversity from prosperity and happiness, because it had to inculcate a moral purpose. All of Marlowe's tragic heroes die, but the kernel of his dreams lies rather in the struggle of a brave human soul against forces which in the end prove too great for it. In Marlowe's plays, the interest centers wholly on the personality of the hero. His main conception of serious drama, Renaissance virtue, battling on the success and the falling unconquered before fate. Only Shakespeare made his figures more human and stressed more than fatal flaw in the greatness of their characters. Now comes tragic conflict. Marlowe first of all presented the tragic conflict between good and evil forces in Dr. Faustus. It has great psychological significance. The good and the evil angels in Dr. Faustus are beings from a real supernatural world and extra nationalizations of concern. In Dr. Faustus, Marlowe vividly describes the struggles in Faustus's soul before he finally surrenders to the power of darkness. While in Edward II, Marlowe dramatizes the conflict represented by external forces. In this play, it takes place between two opposite groups. Shakespeare imparted great psychological subtlety, variety, and depth to the dramatization of tragic conflict, which Marlowe introduced inevitability, pity, and terror. In his insistences on tragic inevitability, Marlowe foreshadows Shakespeare's belief in fate. The feeling of inevitability is present throughout Dr. Faustus and is recognized explicitly in the end. Dean writes, it is above all the sense of man's captivity that makes the tragedy it. Faustus. A good tragedy arouses the feelings of pity and terror. In the history of English drama, Marlowe is the first dramatist to make artistic and psychological use of the feelings of pity and terror. In Tamburlaine, pity and terror are found when divine Xenocrate dies and mighty Tamburlaine, in a fit of expostulation, burns the whole town. In the last scenes of Dr. Faustus are a fine presentation of this feeling, that are pity and terror. We feel pity for damned Faustus, who is undergoing the intolerable pain of dissolution due to one fatal flaw, that is, the desire of limitless power, and terror at the utter impossibility of changing what has been done. The last soliloquy of Dr. Faustus is a burning and eloquent expression of an agonized soul, which attracts both our pity and sympathy. Also, the murder scene in Edward II moves the great feeling of pity and terror. Blank verse. As a creator of blank verse for writing drama, Marlowe is unsurpassable. A.C. Swinburne once observed that the father of English tragedy and the creator of English blank verse was therefore also the teacher and the guide of Shakespeare. T.S. Eliot says he introduced several new tones into blank verse and commenced the dissociative process which drew it farther and farther away from the rhythms of rhymed verse. Marlowe saved the drama from rhyming motherwit. Marlowe's blank verse, which Ben Jonson calls Marlowe's mighty line, is notable for his splendor of diction, picturesqueness, vigor, and energy, variety in pace, and its representativeness to the demands of varying emotion. His dramatic poetry is full of bold primary colors and vivid imagery from the classic, from astronomy and from geography. So guys, that's it for the day. मिलेंगे अपनी नेक्स्ट वीडियो में जिसमें मैं आपको पढ़ाने वाला हूँ विलियम शेक्सपियर के बारे में सब कुछ, उनके जन्म से लेके उनके मृत्यु होने तक उन्होंने क्या क्या किया, कहाँ रहे, उनकी लाइफ कैसी थी, उनके क्या वर्क्स थे, कब शुरू हुए, पहला वर्क कौन सा था, लास्ट कौन सा था, उनकी थीम्स, उनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, सब कुछ मैं एक्सप्लेन करने वाला हूँ। साथ ही में पोस्ट शेक्सपियरियन ड्रामाटिस्ट जो थे उनको भी कवर करूंगा, तो जरूर देखना उस वीडियो को। आपकी नेट की प्रिपरेशन में बहुत अच्छा बूस्ट मिलेगा आपको। टिल देन पढ़ाई करिए, अपना ध्यान रखिए, बीमार होने से बचिए और वीडियो को लाइक कर दें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब भी कर लीजिए।